Your countdown?
See, no, we don't get a countdown. Oh no, nothing as technical as that.
How will I
We
know?
are live.
How will I know when we are live? How will
We
I
are.
know when the Oh, all right.
Freeze. Hammer time.
Okay.
Right.
Assuming we are. Yeah, I've noticed I do a lot of finger guns.
There's a
Welcome,
lot of finger
welcome.
guns. I feel like this is one of the things we need to monitor is the number of finger guns in one live stream.
I can't agree with you more. It's like the limited amount of high fives that one must give. Do you have high fives in England?
We do we do have high fives in England. We've also invented the wheel now.
My God. You know what your job is? To break it. Now that you've invented it.
Yeah.
It's your job to break the wheel.
Fact.
Indeed. Well, welcome to Stone Fruit
Thank
Roll-Up.
you. I am very happy to be here on Stone Fruit Roll-Up. This is
Day
exciting.
7 of having a live show. Day 7 of having a live show.
Can I just take a minute to share with you how much I love this concept? And
Gill Moakes, business consultant. I mean, let's introduce you first before you start going into it.
Oh, go on then. Go on.
Oh, come on. Gill Moakes, business consultant, business coach to the stars, darling. Gill, you have been an absolutely instrumental piece in my business development and success. And I wanted you here on day 7, girl, because this was kind of your idea to push me into some more visibility and out of my comfort zone. And since I've never done it before, we're doing all of that live, and I couldn't do it without you. So welcome to the YouTube. Welcome to the YouTube.
I am so impressed with this because for a lot of reasons. One is that you so resisted a lot of forms of marketing that you just don't have inclination for, which I get. But the thing is, I was running out. I was literally running out of ideas. Like, okay, so you don't want to do that, right? But what do we do? And we had to come up with something, didn't we? That felt good to you, that felt remotely interesting, because it's got to be interesting to hold your attention and to really keep you coming back.
You know me too well.
I do know you. But the thing is, what I love is that not only did you decide to, yeah, okay, I'll do something on YouTube. What's the kind of like the line of least resistance that needs the least preparation? Yeah, I'll go live. Hang on a minute. What would make a really good intro to going live? I'll just literally share the journey of creating a channel from scratch, right? But
why not?
Coming up with that idea, you've literally landed on the thing that anyone out there who wants to this or wants to increase their visibility, but kind of looks at all the finished versions of YouTube channels and shows and podcasts, quite off-putting. And now there's this amazing show that is showing this inside track.
Why not?
Love it.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why? I'm failing so you don't have to. That's really the point of this. I'm failing so you don't have to.
How did technology go today?
Well, this is our second show. Week 1, we had to scuttlebutt over to Taylor's Zoom channel to make it happen because I had literally no idea you need a third-party software to go live. I thought you just scheduled it and showed up, so that's not the thing. And then today you had to rescue me and bring us over onto your Riverside platform in order to go live. So I am literally couch surfing on third-party software to pull off this show.
That's hilarious. You're couch surfing on people's software. I love it.
Well, I'm just trying to find myself. I'm just trying to find myself. It's my gap month.
No, do you know? Now I've sussed this out now. You're basically entice. Every guest that you have on this show is clearly going to have some form of to take it to the next step. Now, hang on a minute. Okay, this is
our roster lineup is of the people. Look, people I would normally have reached out to, people I would have normally called, people I would have normally called in a favor and said, our friendship is strong. I need to, pick your brain about something. I need to figure out what's going on. I would never start a blank without talking to you first, but I'm able to, I don't know, through the power of persuasion or just my inexorable cuteness. People are agreeing to come on and talk to me about the show and work me through technical problems and give me advice and kind of help me, get this thing up and going through through live conversations that are unedited, unscripted, and, in the raw, as we say.
Love it.
So over time, my hope is that over time, through the process of building this thing, one episode at a time, one kind of like content creator expert at a time, as we then kind of infuse like other interesting people to talk about some interesting things, which is the reason you and I are here today, that through that process of being kind of like battered against the rocks, what will emerge is a truly compelling show. Because if it's not interesting, you were so right at the top of this show, if it's not interesting, it's not going to hold my attention, and if it's not holding my attention, then I can't assume it's going to hold anyone else's attention, and I'll be bored, and then you'll be back to like, what are you going to do if you're not going to be on anything? What can we try next?
Viewers, can I just explain what that Rebecca just did there? That's her impression of my English accent. Adorable.
It's excellent. It's so good. You can
so
barely
good.
tell
I mean,
the
I
difference
literally
between
sound
me and Jill.
exactly like.
I've called and charged lunch to Harvey Nicks on your credit card using this accent.
I'm not surprised. You were Patsy from Ab Fab. Darling!
I'm fine. I'm just here with a sick friend. Well, the reason I asked you to come on today is because you and I had a titillating discussion yesterday as we were recording the birthday episode for your podcast, Heads Together, and I got to be in the hosting chair and interview you. We started talking a little bit in the pre-show, the green room, if you will, about your reaction to episode 1 with Taylor and what that conversation was like and the kind of things I want to talk about. And I got really energized about the idea of pulling back the curtain on the reality of entrepreneurship and having some real talk about what it's really like out here, and maybe deconstructing Entrepreneur Inc. and letting folks who might be in the struggle with it themselves feel a little less lonely, and folks who haven't gotten into it yet feel a little more informed about what it's like. And you gave me a little bit of pushback on there, making sure that I don't lean too hard into my snarky Gen X misanthropy about the world of business. And I begged you to hold the conversation and have it with me live. Right. So that's where we are today and right now with you, where I was begging you to say, please don't school me on my negative attitude and the impact it could have on my professional reputation. Under the cover of the green room, let's bring this conversation out into the open and really have it. Let me have it, girl. Let me have it.
This is one of the things I love about you, is that some people would want those conversations to be behind a curtain. They wouldn't particularly want to share their coach kind of giving them some straight talking or yeah, not even that. More kind of, okay, I hear what you're saying, but I want you to take this into account, right? But some people wouldn't want that. They wouldn't want their idea to be visibly diluted in front of their audience. But this is what
takes
I love
courage.
about you. It really takes courage. It really takes courage. It does. And I just am so in awe of you for that, because there's nothing that you won't share. That's how.
But isn't that the point of this, though?
Absolutely.
Isn't that the point of like how business is kind of like raw dogging the universe? Isn't that the point of being vulnerable, being experimental, making mistakes, getting advice from people in your pod? If we're all presenting this like shiny, polished persona, what is authentic? What's believable? What's genuine?
Couldn't agree more.
So,
and I think the no one wants that polished perfection anymore. No one's looking for that now. That's why videos like this are on the rise. You know, it's not perfection. It's not in a professional studio. I have a bird's
What?
nest instead of hair today because I've been coaching this morning. Like it isn't polished perfection, and that's okay because that's not what people are looking for a start. But
It
I
takes a lot
suppose
of bravery, though, to say, okay, then I'm not going to be polished. Okay, I'm not going to be perfect. Because if you have any self doubt, or if you're faking it till you make it, and then you show up and you're like, well, it's going to be raw today and unpolished, the fear and insecurity that can go along with that can be debilitating. So you really have to kind of give up your ego to
you
get
really
on
do
and
because there's one thing for sure, the people who produce very high Marie TV and these very highly produced shows, they have huge budgets to be able to put on consistently. That's not accessible for everyone. But it's that video content is really valuable for growing your business, however big or small you are. And that coupled with the fact that people don't want that perfection anymore, but also for sustainability, if you set your bar at the beginning by basically moving heaven and earth, getting a professional makeup artist and a hairdresser to do your hair, and then go live and barely time so you don't disrupt your background, like sustainable. That's not sustainable, and it's also completely and utterly distracting across your best stuff. Like you can't share your best opinions when you're that obsessed with the way you're being perceived or the self. You can't get your best stuff across. And I think this is where your point about the realness and the rawness and the let's pull back the curtain really goes into it. Let's show you pulling your hair out when the tech won't work to go live. Let's show an idea being pulled apart and then rebuilt into something that might look a bit different than you thought it was going to look. Let's show all of that because that's really what goes into building a business. The other stuff is the perception of what goes into building a business. And that's not really helpful for anyone.
It's not helpful. And I can't help but think about parenthood as being the other large institution in our lives that people who are already parents gatekeep how hard it is. Culturally, not by design, not like, I'm not going to tell them how hard it is and then I'm going to watch them fall. It's not by intention, but just culturally, all you see are the diaper commercial moments. All you see are baby's first steps. All you see is that tooth coming in for the first time and looking at each other like, oh. In parenthood, those moments are absolutely real, authentic, and they are, oh, but they happen once every 6 months, maybe. Yeah. Where you're having this real parent connection with the beauty of parenthood and watching a child discover the world through, watching through their eyes or rediscovery. That is absolutely real, but it happens every once in a while. What's in between there is your own baggage showing up when you're stressed. What's in between there are shit sandwiches, dirty diapers, carpooling, conflicts, them having to emotionally regulate using your emotional regulation. And if you don't have that very well law and lock, if you haven't figured that part out, it can be extremely stressful. Just the grind of it, the expense of it. Louis C.K. has this beautiful bit about parenthood, which is, what's the hardest part about being a parent? Every day. Just every day. Oh my God. And I think that's such a beautiful articulation about parenthood. And business is the same. Every day, just every day having to show up, willingly jump into a kill what you eat model, relentlessly experiment, try and find people you can count on like yourself, Jilly, to give you some community, some feedbacks, bounce ideas off of, to work in co-creation. There's a lot of pitfalls out here to being entrepreneurial, and I feel like the more we just put forth that shiny Marie TV as to your analogy, and the less we talk about just damn, Just the other day on a call, my colleague said the roller coaster of client acquisition and marketing, and I was like, that is so true. The roller coaster of client acquisition and marketing. Up, 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 and then you've got the client, and it's down, and you're not filling your pipeline, and it's just. Wouldn't it be nice to know that out front before you started pitching your stuff? Wouldn't it be nice to kind of understand that business is just this constant juxtaposition of feelings about things, emotions, experimentation, failure, fear, excitement, all of those things wrapped together. So that's why I think it's important to talk about. And when I brought that up, you were like, don't make your brand being too negative. I think that's what you were saying. So I wanted you to clarify it and give me a little, let's coach it through.
And I think this is really important, actually, because I think you are right. You are absolutely right. People do want to learn the truth, and we owe it to the people coming behind us to share what it is really like. The thing is, it needs to be coupled with what you do with that knowledge. So in other words, if you know that client acquisition and marketing can feel like a roller coaster, what if that's how it's supposed to be? And what if you feel okay with that? What if you don't let that be stress and angst? What if that's the way it's supposed to be, you build strategies and systems around that, and you work that isn't an issue, and you look at things differently through the lens of it's not meant to be easy. Building a business isn't easy, and not everyone can do it, and that's the truth. And there are lots of people saying, like, I've heard, how many times have you heard, if I can do this, anyone can do it? No. Not everyone can do this. You need grit.
You can.
You need grit, you need resilience, you need courage. You need to choose yourself for that success. More, you don't need anyone else to choose you. You've got to choose it for yourself. No one's coming to save you or do it for you. So I think with that in mind, I completely agree. I want that reality spoken about. However, there's a caveat to it. There can be a tendency to go too far with that, so that all of a sudden, all we're doing is empathizing with the. It's hard to do this. This is what it's really like. Isn't this tough? It's tough, and no one talks about it. And this is how tough it is. And I think the balance is about doing something with the knowledge that it isn't easy. Making it, like I say, accepting that for what it is, and allowing that to be okay. Allowing that to still be part of the enjoyable life of entrepreneurship, which, if it isn't enjoyable, go and get a fucking job. Because if you don't want to do it, if you're haven't got the grit for it, if you're not up for the resilience, if you're not going to persevere, if you're not going to keep going when it's hard, then you've chosen the wrong path, because it isn't easy, and it's not going to morph into something effortless ever. So you've got to enjoy it. You've got to enjoy it. Now, that's not to say there aren't days that are shit. It's not to say that there aren't things in your business that you have to do that you don't enjoy, right? But the overall experience of entrepreneurship should be something you love and is like an addiction for you. Too harsh?
I thought that was hot. I thank you for reminding me that this should be something that. Pew pew. That's so American. It's so American that I would even do it and not even think about it.
A British person can't do that. Complete dick, and I've got a sign behind me that says "Don't be a dick," and I just went pew, pew, on live YouTube.
Julie, you need finger bobby sticks. What are those called?
Really? What, the big football things that they have at football matches?
No,
don't
what's a cop called in England? A bobby?
Oh, will you stop calling them bobbies? No one calls them bobbies since 1835. Literally. Bobbies. This will make you laugh. If Dave's watching this, this will make him laugh, because Becca the other day about the word gaffers. You liked that one, didn't you? The gaffers are coming.
I love that visual. Look, I get all my knowledge of contemporary British culture and zeitgeist from Charles Dickens, which I think is a perfectly.
It shows.
Isn't everybody walking around with a walking little? Aren't little tiny Tims walking around
Yes,
with a
that is
walking stick everywhere
exactly
they
how
go?
we all look. 100%.
Yeah. So you need a finger Tiny Tim cane.
Okay,
That's
all
what
right,
you
I've
need.
got it. I'll work on it.
Don't you see yourself as the kind of old woman I do who would like maybe hit people with their cane?
No,
Like just
I see
snap
myself
and
as
hit
a
people with their
very,
cane.
very glamorous, probably still modelling for Chanel by the age of 90 old woman.
That's
That's
not a
how I
thing right
see
now.
myself. Unfortunately, no one else does, but I see myself like that.
One of the hottest one of the hottest demographics on TikTok right now is octogenarians,
I know.
grandma types.
Yeah.
It's so hot. I think people need to like lean into unpacked ageism and be their best grandma for sure. I think I'm gonna be the kind that maybe hits people with a cane every once in a while.
I think you're
I
definitely
said
the
that's
cane
my
kind.
I said that's my cookie. That's how I feel about business. That's how I feel about business right now. I said that was my cookie. That's how we're gonna do it.
That's not true. You are never, ever about business, so that's not true.
Well, sometimes I get up in my feelings about what I think should be my piece of the pie, though.
Yes, you do.
And that's
That
a
is actually
struggle.
true.
And
Let's
that's a
talk about that
struggle.
because I feel like that is tied up with the point I was trying to make when we had that conversation yesterday around if we choose to really lean in the side of let's all talk about how tough this is and let's get really real and it isn't this perfect. The danger of leaning too far that way and overbalancing in that direction is that we start almost worsening our own situation. So it's almost like we start to, there's a herd mentality almost around if everyone's talking about how tough this is. Oh, okay, so maybe that's the default setting. Maybe that's okay for me to feel like this all the time. And that can eat away, I think, a little bit at grit and determination. Because I think there needs to be a balance. People around me to real talk with and share of how this feels and the successes. But yeah, I do want to talk through the challenges with people, but I also want flashes of damn, look what's possible. I know that's possible because that person's doing. And
Well, maybe
yeah,
we need to change. Maybe we need to change the narrative about what success looks like in business. Because I think there's plenty of examples out there of people who have made it. I mean, well, that's almost like a
oh,
poison in our own.
yeah. To be honest with you, that any narrative successes is utterly irrelevant. We make that. What's
So
my
maybe
idea of
on this
success won't be
show,
the same as yours.
success is about what does maybe an enlightened entrepreneur act, be, and feel like, and how have you made peace with the chaos of it, which is to your point of a teachable moment. Before we move on to what would make like lessons learned and go down that rabbit hole, I wanted to acknowledge like your cautionary tale, which I think is don't be bitter. Okay, nobody wants you to be bitter out here. And you can be real, but don't be bitter. Your peach pie is sweet. And number two, nobody wants to fuck mean mommy.
Right. It's true. It's true.
Nope.
And, I get and the thing is to know the intention of these feelings. For you, the intention is all about empathy and it's all about let's do what's right and let's really get people understanding the reality of this. But the thing is, you could easily lean too far into it. You really could. And yeah, no one wants that. No one wants that.
No one wants to fuck
Least
me,
of all
mommy.
you. Least of all you, because
Least of all me. You're right. But what I don't want also is this shiny, anesthetized version of what it is.
Agreed.
And another show about best practices, experts, how to be awesome at solving that problem in your business. Like that is, it's everywhere. If I get another email that's like the top 6 mistakes you're making in your website, or like how to get, write emails that people actually open, I think there's 100% a place for seasoned advice, 100% a place for thought leadership. But it just feels like just this kind of relentless slog towards, I don't know, like uninteresting perfectionism that I'm just finding a hard time connecting with. And so
Yeah.
there's the side of me that's like, I'm over the shiny, entrepreneur ink packaged beautifully. That laptop life, go work 6 months from Bali, like all of that. And I also don't, to your point, don't want to turn into like a bitter, tired, used up Gen Xer who remember my French impression yesterday? Fuck this
that
show.
was so good.
Fuck being in business. Fuck that. Je detest. I don't, also that as well. I mean, I'm naturally an optimistic person. I'm naturally like, hey, well, let's try this thing and let's go for it. And, it's not a failure, it's experimentation. But the other side of me is sick to death of the commercial for entrepreneurialism because you're running away from a bad boss or you hate corporate culture. A lot of people come out here not trying to solve problems, but just to get away from working in a way that they hate, which is okay too. Except, like, to your point, if you're not ready for the grit of it, if you're not ready for the roller coaster of client acquisition and marketing, and you have no idea that that's coming down the pike, it can feel so much more shocking, lonely, desperate, confusing. What am I even doing? Kill what you eat model is no joke. And
Right. But it's a bit like, complaining about those sort of things. Client acquisition and marketing is a little bit like taking a job as a zookeeper and then complaining that you have to shovel shit.
Well, then I guess we need to. I guess I want the show to be more clear that we're going to shovel some shit. That shit gets shoveled here. It happens.
Absolutely. But
it absolutely happens.
We also get to spend time with the most amazing animals that we would never get to look after if we weren't a vet.
What's your favorite
I'm really
zoo
crap
animal?
at those sort of analogies.
What's your favorite zoo animal in the world?
Tiger.
Why?
Because I live right near Colchester Zoo, and we have this amazing tiger there who up and seems to be quite sociable.
What do you think he's trying to tell you?
Give me that fucking ice cream, you fat bitch.
Tigers like ice cream. Tigers like ice cream. I kind of like the primate enclosure. And first of all, let's just say I'm not a fan of zoos at all. I think it's kind of fucked up. But I kind of like the primates because the primates seem to have an awareness that they are actually like, that they are the television for another primate. And it seems sometimes they get really mad, like do outrageous things and make the whole audience be like, ah! And it's not that I love the shenanigans. I just feel like they have this, like, again, they're the ones who are like, I'm behind this glass enclosure all day. So
primates, I just like it when they choose to have private time in front of the small children watching. And the parents are like, no! Oh, God!
That's for private time! That's for private time!
Oh, God.
Okay, so in your opinion, if you knowing that I'm coming at it with good intentions, and that I'm also like, I do have some there are some pieces of my pie that are a little bitter right now. Like, yeah, oh, I should be working so hard. I should be further along. We all feel that way. We're like shooting on ourselves, and knowing that like this kind of like best practices approach. Like today, we welcome consultant Gill Moakes, who's going to walk us through how to create the business model of our dreams. Like, how do I not do that and not be mean mommy and be real and also not poison the well?
That's a really good
Go,
question.
Jilly. Figure it out.
Well, I have another question, which I know can be a bit annoying, but I think this is important. What hard to change without having to immerse in the helping other people see what you are feeling and seeing. I need to rephrase the way. What I mean is, like, why do you, I guess, to everyone and make sure that they're with you and understanding the way you're feeling with you? Why can you not just be that change? Be different. Be different. I don't know that it always needs to lean into the negativity of, or it certainly doesn't need to stay in the negativity of how hard entrepreneurship is. And I think you to set the tone. That's for you to make the decision.
Well, friend of the show, dear friend of the show, Tony Perek, I would say always punch up. I'm not punching down at entrepreneurship. I don't hate it. I can't be any other way. I love it out here. I love the eat what you kill model because there's no greater proof of your worth than selling something that you came up with an offer. Like, you're either going to sell it or you're not. There's no paycheck regardless. Like, you either sell it or you don't. It either has value or you don't. And so the sheer process of continually self-improving to have more and more attractive offers out there that allow you, it's not about the price point that's associated with it, but allow you to do work, to create a body of work in collaboration with someone else, helping the people that you absolutely love, that you would live and die for. That's something that we all want to participate in, and it's such it's such a human experience that's so fulfilling to create that from scratch on your own. And yet, I still feel it's important to acknowledge that we are humans. Can you be a mentor devoid of your own insecurities? I don't think you can. Can you be a business coach that's devoid of questioning yourself or having an existential crisis or being like, today I want to quit? I think it's okay to say today I want to quit and to hold someone's hand through that.
And it's okay to have bad days and bad weeks and bad months. Essentially, if you're getting to the any good experiences of entrepreneurship, that's when you have to question the path you've chosen, right? And I think, but you are right, and I don't disagree with you, and I don't for a minute want you to think that my message was stop saying anything negative and make it everything upbeat and everything's fine and everything's perfect, because that's not what I'm saying at all. Not at all. It's tempering the raw reality with chinks of just remember why you're doing this. Remember why you're doing this, because the alternative isn't one you want. This is still, even on its hardest day, I would still trade a day in an office. Like, I wouldn't trade the hardship for an hour in the office working for someone else. Not now.
I couldn't agree more. But part of emotional maturity, I think, is being able to acknowledge the full breadth of the landscape. Yeah. And two things. One, Tony says check the chat for a very real question, and since you're driving, I don't know where that is. And the second thing about that, now I've lost my train of thought because Tony has a question in the chat. I'm
finding the chat tone.
Oh yeah, the very real question isn't so much what does Rebecca want to talk about, but what does the audience need? Like, what do they really need? The few people that I've talked to about this show, I'm like, will you come on YouTube and talk about that with me? Their whole face lights up like, oh my God, I would love to talk about this. I would love to talk about how I can't go work for somebody else. I would love to talk about this kind of thing where it's like you almost like have the freedom and the space to unload some of that angst and just process it in a healthy way. So I guess that's where I'm kind of stuck.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how to look in the chat. I'm sorry. I'm back.
That's okay. Maybe Tony can text me the real question and I can just ask it.
Yeah. And then, you see, here's the thing. This is what this show is brilliant for.
Oh.
Right, for the next one, we need to be able to look at the chat. It says here, I have a thing that says live chat all... Oh, I found the chat. Okay,
look at God.
Look at God. Tony, what is the gaffer? Love it. No, it's Gathers. Tone. Gathers. Okay, so Tony actually has put a really interesting question here, which is it a good come up with a benchmark for failure in entrepreneurship? And when it is time to pack up and try something else? And kind of coming at this from that, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And I love that you included that, Tone, because can I go with this one?
Yeah, Rebecca, please do.
Because
oh my God, please do.
I think Tony, you've just hit there on that is the very essence of entrepreneurship, is that we don't a truly committed entrepreneur doesn't keep doing the same, expecting a different result. They iterate and iterate and iterate and iterate. They just don't stop doing that. So skillful entrepreneur is absolutely fine with failing and fine with tough seasons, but they don't stop tweaking and making changes and trying new things and this, Rebecca, I think you are just such a perfect example of this, in that, there are seasons when business is hard and it feels tough, but you always keep your eyes on your clients and you always iterating for what can I come up with, what can I create that's what they want. And actually, I think if you can keep doing that, then that definition of insanity, it doesn't come into play. For a true entrepreneur, you don't keep doing the same thing over and over. But to your point, what that benchmark of failure is for an entrepreneur, it could be that suddenly you have got to that place where actually you are doing the same thing over and over that doesn't work, and maybe you don't have any or commitment or innovation or desire left in you to keep iterating, to keep tweaking. And I guess for me, that's when it's time. It's time. If you've lost that fire to keep innovating and keep trying new things, then that's kind of a dead-end street then.
Can you make peace with the feast or famine of it all? Can you make peace with, 1 month I'm experimenting with something that is gonna flop, and then the next month I'm gonna experiment with something that takes off, and then it's 2 more flops, and then it's 1 take off, and then it's 3 more flops, and then it's 4 takeoffs? Can you make peace with that? I think that's a huge thing of yes or no. That's is this huge. For me? I think that your point of like wanting to stop trying. I mean, Tony and I actually had this conversation like 3 weeks ago because I was on paper, my business was like dead in Q1, like completely dead, but still every day get up, redefine your success. And the key for me has been to kind of redefine success in sometimes trading is a sale. And once I
Mm,
understood that, like, it isn't always about, like, I put out something, it is priced here, I am getting my price, now I'm successful. If I constantly just kind of reevaluate my relationship with the universe, that gives me excitement. And he was like, well, why don't you just, like, go get a job? I'm like, I just believe that I have whatever it is in me. I just believe it. I can't explain it because it's not like college where you're like, well, as long as you go to class, do the homework, show up, the professor knows your name, you take the final, you're going to get your degree as long as you do that, for
yeah.
X amount of credits over time.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship, you can show up and do every single thing right for years and years and years and years, and there is still no guarantee, which is what makes it absolutely addictively wonderful because it's an adventure and no 2 days are the same and you don't know if you're going to make it. There's no guarantee. That is free fall. That's raw dog in the universe. And I think that that's
And
what's
the
so exciting
other
about it.
side of that is it's limitless. The potential is limitless as an entrepreneur.
Not just financially. What do you actually want to do? 3 years ago, Jilly, so I was like, one day, shortly we'll have a retreat and you and I will co-host that and it'll be in Greece. And I'm like, that's amazing. And I still believe that that will happen.
Mm,
If we were in a 9 to 5, I'd be like, that'll be so cute one day in our fantasy life when we're also queens and live forever and have harems full of lovers, like, and all the bonbons we could want. That seems like a fantasy, but when you're in entrepreneurship, you're like, yeah, what would it take for
mm,
me and Jilly to co-host a retreat in Greece? And it doesn't take long to put the pieces together and figure it out. But you have to know that 3 years from now is just as much of a payoff as 3 weeks from now when your paycheck comes in or your bonus dividend comes in or and I also
yeah.
think that like some people choose entrepreneurship or 9 to 5, and it's about security. Like I need the security of a 9 to 5 versus the insecurity of an entrepreneurship. And it's my opinion that post pandemic, all bets are off. They're all insecure. There is
Uh,
no. There
I
are times
actually,
where like,
yeah, I actually secure as an entrepreneur knowing that my future is of my own making. I think there's a lot of insecurity now in corporate and it's completely out of my
oh
hands.
yeah,
So,
I just did a discovery meeting with a new client yesterday, and shout out to Susan Collins. And her whole business model is developing a program that is about teaching high performing corporate people how to take sovereignty and control over their own careers. And her point that just struck me like a ton of bricks was that your boss isn't here to mold your career. They are here to give you the tools in the job you're in right now. And that is what they're here to do.
mm,
So you
no,
cannot be
they're
looking
here
for
to give
external
you the tools
validation.
to make them look good.
Hmm. Now who's being bitter, piece of pie? Now who's punching down in things?
Because I believe that the corporate entire structure is just a nightmare. Like I can't even imagine working in that constraint now. Yeah,
That me too, but that's for another show.
definitely.
We're not gonna punch down a corporate because I just said that client is developing a program for it. So we'll stay like ding about it. But I thought her point was super interesting is that
Absolutely.
when you're in that career, when you're in that ladder, you're thinking to yourself, like, oh, I just show up, I work hard, I'm a team player, I'll get noticed. You don't really get noticed. The people who are getting promoted are the chatterbox squeaky wheels that may or may not be performers, and
Yeah.
performers are getting left behind, and squeaky wheels are rising up, and squeaky wheels are managing high performers, and you're like, so how do you prevent that burnout? You advocate for yourself. You carve your own career path. You
Mm.
become your own talent strategist. And that's what entrepreneurship is. And that's why it's exciting. But it is also relentlessly hard every day.
It
Just
is.
every day.
Yeah, it is. And also, though, when something's hard, it doesn't mean you don't like it.
That's true.
Um,
Am I right?
nice. But it's true, isn't it, though? Something can be hard work, but I can work hard hard some days from morning till night, but I have enjoyed every minute of what I've. But it's not easy.
100%. 100. You could be working full time for
Mm,
months on end, and it's not even towards a client deliverable or a
mm.
product. You're just working full time towards like the the future of your business.
Yeah,
The future you will thank you for working full time today, and I think that that becomes exhausting.
yeah,
And
definitely.
we got to make peace with it and understand what it is and understand the landscape, which is
Mm.
kind of back to why
Yeah,
Fruit
it's
Roll Up.
back to kind of, yeah, it is what it is, and you don't have to choose it. But if you do, make peace with what it is and learn to kind of accept the bits that you don't love as much and really optimize the bits you do. Make it as one.
And then you can in full enjoy the full breadth of the experience because you
Mm,
weren't just sold the commercial.
yeah.
So that takes us back, Jilly, to like, what is this show? Are we malcontent? Business. It is not for the faint of heart, but Are we back to that? Are we in like, well, lessons learned from that? What can we take away, you guys? How can we build the blocks better next time? Or is it in between? Or is it entrepreneurship? Welcome to the world. It's messy here, but you are welcome. And I want to hear about your experience, even if it wasn't shiny and it's not something you would present to the world. But we all need a safe space to unpack some of that stuff with other people who are going through it, and it's
Yeah.
live. So I don't know how much of a safe space that is, but it's live. Because if you're going through it, someone else is going through it.
Right. Absolutely. And that everything's every reaction to business is acceptable. So to be upset over the hard stuff and rejoice in the easy stuff, and for what you find hard, someone else might find easy, and what they find easy, or what you find easy, they might, like, that's okay as well. Your own reaction to entrepreneurship is fine, as long as it's working for you. What we talked about of when is it time to quit is really when, like I say, you're not prepared to do anything about it. So finding a safe space like this show, for example, and talking about it in a really real and open way, that is going to be a real release valve for a lot of people. And I
So
see the
I've talked
value
you
in
into
that.
it.
See,
So I've
now
talked you
here's
into
the
it.
thing though. So the conversation I have with you is as your business coach. Do I think this is absolutely what some people will need? Yes. Do I think that Rebecca Gunter should be leaning into this to the exclusion of positioning herself as a thought leader in the brand industry? No, no, I don't. So I think that I can't coach you on one small piece. I think that, this show is this show, but there is more to you. And so coaching conversations we have are always from the perspective of my eyes on your entire business world, of which there is more than this show. So I think this
And
show is a brilliant idea and it serves a brilliant purpose. But I think your personal brand is more than this show.
and so how do you advise I reconcile those two?
Interesting. Well, first of all, I think it's really important that you position this show for what it is, that this show isn't the entirety of your business. This show isn't necessarily a full picture reflection of you in business, because actually there are some incredible highlights, successes, high points, amazingly high quality clients, fantastic high level projects that you're involved with, genius writing, amazing offers. Right, there's all of those things that go in. And this is where I worry that, well, I don't worry because I don't worry about you in that way because I know you. But I do think that this show is the entire concept of this show serves a fantastic struggling, if you choose to go down the route of this is a safe place for people who are struggling. but it's not a full reflection of your business.
How can we reconcile the two? And when I say people are struggling, that's everybody every day. There's show me an entrepreneur that isn't out there with some kind of feelings about it. Show me. I can't.
Yeah,
I don't know any.
They don't.
So
exist.
it's not about like startups, early stage, I'm failing, but just like the landscape of it by people who've been here for a while.
Yeah. So what just came to me when you said that is what I haven't heard you say in this conversation, probably because of the subject, because we are talking about the, me kind of calling out maybe some negativity around it, is this still a place for people to come who are loving what they're doing? Is this still a place for people to come who wake up every day and cannot wait to open their laptop because they are loving their business and they actually want to interact with other real, honest entrepreneurs who are loving their business? Is this still their place too?
I think I can't imagine anybody on the other side of this mic that isn't also in that place, and that's what's complexly beautiful and divine about it, is that you can love it. You can be like, oh yeah. I mean, this morning I woke up at 5 a.m. and I was like, okay, man, I can write some positioning and I can get one email written before I have to go to school. And I had the choice to just lay there and, feel the warmth of the dog on my toes and just like, I had that choice, but I was like, all right, man, 5 a.m., let's roll. Let's get some things handled. But that also doesn't mean that there aren't times where I have riddled with self-doubt. I'm frustrated by, my reputation, my income not being commensurate. I'm like feeling some kind of way about something. And you can show up as your full breadth of a human, as an entrepreneur, and be like, these are the things that's hard, and I wouldn't do it any other way. I was on with Kathleen yesterday, and we were talking about like that kind of what Motherhood Inc. and Entrepreneur Inc. and how they're very similarly pitched. And I was like, will you come on Fruit Roll-Up and talk about that? She was like, I would love to talk about that.
That would be
and
so good.
I can't do it any other way. It's already scheduled. And I can't do it any other way. I have to be an entrepreneur. That is who I am. It's in my DNA. It's how I'm wired. And those are the folks that I want to encourage, but also allow them to be the full expression of that. It's not always like, yay, today I get to write an email. Sometimes it's like, I got to write an email, I got to pick up the thing, I got to do the blah, 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 I got to have the live, I got to get my mic right, I got the lighting, someone says that, I forgot to respond to that person. Like, there are a lot of balls in the air, and the more I think we're transparent about that, the more we'll all feel less lonely and disconnected, including myself. There is a piece of me. Is this show a selfish, ego-driven thing? No, but there is a piece of me that really does want to connect with other people about the realness of it that we don't show other folks when you have a podcast or a live or a blog or a book, and it's all shiny and polished.
Yeah. So I think we're not as far apart as we might have originally thought when I had the kind of more cautionary, just like, I think you knew where I was, and I don't think we're so far apart. I think we both really believe in that refreshing honest transparency about the fact it's hard. It's not meant. Who said it was meant to be easy? Like,
who said it was meant to be easy is the theme, I think.
I think so.
I think that's the theme.
Said it was meant to be easy. It is hard. And that's okay. And I think there is this movement. We're looking for hacks for anything. Life hacks. Business hacks. We want to double our revenue into, it's all that flashing light marketing. It's kind of unrealistic messages that come across that give us this dissatisfaction with how tough building a business can be. Just being told it should feel easy. How many times you hear, if it doesn't feel like you're in flow, you're not doing it right, and that's shit on that. Yeah.
Sometimes my flow be a trickle. And sometimes my flow be an iceberg breaking free, and sometimes my flow be an easy river, and sometimes my flow be the waterfalls. And that's all the things that it is.
Analogy. That's a great analogy, because And that is, you've just illustrated the point I've been trying to make, not as is that all feelings are the joy of building a business and the misery of building a business. And they come and go, and sometimes it flows easily, and sometimes there's a dam blocking the water, and that's how it is.
And sometimes you're in an oasis where you think you see water and you don't.
Right?
And sometimes you're real thirsty. And sometimes you've drank too much and you've like information by fire hose. You're like, I can't even take it. But understanding all that I think is important. Now, to be fair, we're just talking about this now, day 7, episode 2. It's quite possible we could right now course correct and decide the show is a totally different thing. But this is what has my interest. And this is what has me passionate about, like, come on my show and talk about this. This is what excites me.
This captivates me. This really captivates me because we've brought up some interesting. Is this a place for people who are loving business, or is this a place for people to just come on who want to negative side of business? What if both are valid? What if the people want one more than the other? What, are you gonna tweak and iterate according to what people ask for? Because that's kind of what you're inviting by doing this. And it's going to be so interesting. And I would urge, do something different with this, because this is a YouTube channel. And very innovative here. So be different in how you interact with it, right? Be different. Leave the comments. If you're one of those people that just watches videos and then maybe begrudgingly likes them but can't actually be asked to type anything, why don't you do something different with this one and type something in with some feedback and say, do you know what? I love how raw this is and I want more of that. Shut up. I want to hear the proper, like, if that's what you think, do something different. Because I see a lot of people.
I was going to say, you can be absolutely in love with business and find it to be a grueling endeavor at the same time. Again, just like parenthood. It is beautiful and brutal at the same time. I once heard someone describe life as tedious and brief, and I thought, so beautiful. Like, it is tedious and it is too brief, and life is so tedious and brief. How many cigarettes, imaginary cigarettes, better than the finger guns? Throwing away my imaginary cigarettes.
I like the cigarette. Yeah.
I'm putting the stoned in stone fruit.
Definitely. I like it.
Well, listen, you came on here on the fly. This was as of 24 hours ago. You were not scheduled to be on this live with me. And so that's just a testament to like how willing you are to jump in and elevate the conversation. I can't thank you enough for calling me to the carpet and making sure that my Gen X snarkiness didn't turn into mean mommy and then ruin the entire reputation that I've built out here. Thank you for reminding me to keep this show in perspective, that it's not the whole of my business, but a part of it. Thank you for giving me permission to talk about what I want to talk about and with whom I want to talk about it. And that the real, kind of struggle was around the balance of it, not the idea of us whole. Thank you for inviting the audience to participate with the show in a different way. Thank you for pushing me to even do a show in the first place and embracing my rogue, maverick, experimental way of building it. And thank you for being you. And I hope that we will see you around the old YouTube watering hole very often.
Oh, you won't get rid of me now.
Entrepreneurs.
You won't get rid of me now. I will literally be begging for a slot every opportunity.
I'm wondering if you want to take over without me here at all the Thursday of April 14th, maybe?
Yes, obviously I do.
It's spring break, and I'll be taking my kid camping.
Spring break!
And so think about who you would like to have on the show, and I'm wondering if maybe I'm wondering if maybe Tony is your person, and the reason why is because you
Tone,
guys
we
could.
can do an episode of we can pretend that we're going to take it over and do a stone fruit roll up, an episode of UK all day.
You could do
Yes,
that.
Stone.
You could do that. I thought that though, and I'll just put it out there. I thought that what you might really want to talk about is because you're so podcast centric, and he's a podcast producer. What is a great podcast? Like how do you repurpose content? How do you take this content and turn it into a podcast? Learn as much as you can about your own podcast through that conversation. So go ahead and make it UK all day if you want, but that's my idea.
Actually, I prefer that better. Yeah, that's a great.
Because he'll then help with the audio portion of this. How do we repurpose this show? What makes a good show? Tony listens to like, I don't know, we counted at one time like 25 podcasts every week, different ones. And so he's really in tune with what makes a great show. And I think that would be an awesome conversation. And because your platform is a podcast, that's the conversation for you to take over.
I love that.
Question mark?
I am absolutely picking up the gauntlet that you have just thrown down.
Okay, good.
I'd love to.
All right,
Thank
well,
you. And thank you so much for inviting me
well.
on today. And thank you for what you're doing in this. Like I said, it's so innovative and it is bloody refreshing because there's a lot of sound the same as out there. We know that. And yeah, I love it. It's so good.
You know me, girl. I can't sound like everybody else. It's just anti-thematic to the way I'm wired. I gotta be me. I gotta be me. All right.
Beautiful.
Next week, day 21 of having a live show. Who will be in the chair helping us make this show better?
Audience.
I love that so much.
Do we know who's coming on next week yet? Or is that to be scheduled?
I'm not 100% sure if I have the schedule right in my mind. But
okay.
Paul King from King Productions and Virginia Livestream is going to help us figure out what platform we're going to be on. He's the one who came up with Roller Coaster of Client Acquisition and Marketing. So we're going to talk about some of that stuff, and he's going to help us make this show better.
Yeah.
And a cutie patootie. So video
loves
Paul King. Becky, Becky will be coming on to represent Stone Fruit and do some positioning for the show itself, which is really exciting from Field and Stone. Kathleen McDonald has a new business that she's launching. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say, but we're touring with the brand name Main Character for your main character energy as an entrepreneur. And we're going to talk about motherhood and entrepreneurship and how you can't not do anything but that, and being a role model of risk taking for your kids, which is super, super important. We have Ruchi Warrior coming on, and she's a leadership consultant who really is about people who make impact with their work and how they can stop kind of like participating in the codependency of systems of oppression and be leaders like of their own sovereign right. And that's super exciting. I'm hoping to entice
there are going to be some
other
amazing,
folks.
People coming on. I love
I'm already
because I know with doing the podcast, it's really important to get the right people on and have really interesting conversations. And you've got some great names coming up, so that's awesome.
I mean, that Taylor's suggestion was like, girl, with your network, you'll never be without guests. Now, can I do it solo like you do with Heads Together? Because I told Becky yesterday this was going to be a solo show. I challenge you to
at some point. I want you to try one solo one. That would be
really
interesting to see. Yeah,
we gotta try it.
It's so experimental. Give it a go. If you find you're on for 7 minutes and run out of things to say, so I can't imagine.
That's a stone pebble. That's a stone pebble, that's a pebble fruit.
That's a pip.
So we'll try it and we'll see how juicy it gets. But let's just keep it rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. It's brilliant. I love it. Thank you for letting me come on.
Thank you for coaching me.
Welcome.
And thank you for letting me come on Heads Together, your podcast for your birthday edition.
I can't wait. I think that comes out 13th of March.
13th of March, everybody. Jilly's 1 year anniversary. Happy birthday. Heads Together.
Thank you.
the podcast. I can't wait.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye for
My
now.
pleasure. Bye for now. Bye, everybody. Bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.
And subsequent repurposed platforms.
And subsequent repurposed platforms.
Now, do I just hang up, dog? I don't even know.
Hold on, I just ended it.
Are we just hanging up? Or